We're taking a look at a complete upper from Aero Precision, a feather-light TriggerTech competition trigger, and Reptilia's new RECC-E stock on this week's Gear Grind. Including this surprise hit, the Aero Precision 20-inch complete upper with carry handle. So fit, this complete upper drops onto any mil-spec lower like you'd expect. There's a lot of slightly retro uppers like this out there, but I'd say the fit and finish from Aero really shines here. Handguard is the old clamshell style, but doesn't rattle. Nice anodizing, and judging from the forge marking here, made in USA carry handle. Quick note though, Aero doesn't include a bolt carrier group or charging handle with this one by default, so make sure to budget for extras or reuse parts from a build you already have. Feel. So whether you go for a full fixed stock on your lower or an adjustable one like you see here, you're going to feel the weight of this musket. It's a government profile barrel, so a lot of weight is biased forward on the rifle, and at a 20-inch length, it's a decent bit of leverage. I'm not a huge fan of that, but full rifle length gas system and that extra weight means your recoil is going to be very light, very smooth. I found it very fun to shoot. So form. This upper will definitely give your rifle that early GWAT vibe. You've got the ability to swap between iron sights and optics, but you're still running the clamshell A2 handguards. I'd say this is a pretty faithful recreation for what was issued in those early years before the M4 came into prominence, along with standard Knights armament handguards. The barrel is nitride, not phosphate with chrome lining, so you're definitely not clone correct, but if the vibe and function is what you're after, this is pretty damn close. As mentioned, this upper does give your rifle a very soft recoil impulse. With a standard A2 flash hider, the muzzle doesn't have a significant amount of rise. Plus, with a 20-inch barrel, you're squeezing out optimal velocity for 223 and 556. The included carry handle does give you the ability to dial in elevation for known distance targets out to 600 yards, and with our testing on a somewhat hot rodded lower, it's perfectly reliable. Next up, the TriggerTech competitive 3-pound trigger. Now, I'm not a huge trigger snob, but I think this thing is pretty insane. So in terms of fit, like with most drop-in triggers, this will work in standard mil-spec AR-15 trigger pockets. This uses standard size hammer and trigger pins, but you can use anti-rotation pins if you want. Be prepared to pop your pistol grip and safety off too. You're not dropping this big cassette with those in the way. Also, technically, this can drop into most AR-10 pattern rifles, but TriggerTech makes this trigger with slightly different specs for AR-10 and AR-9 guns, so choose the one that makes the most sense for your rifle. In terms of feel, first thing is you do get your choice of a curved trigger or a flat face like what I've got here, whatever you're into. But in terms of how it feels to take this trigger to the break is crazy. It's a 3-pound single stage trigger with TriggerTech's zero creep technology, and it lives up to the name. Basically, how the sear gets tripped makes the take up incredibly smooth, tactile, no mush whatsoever. And the reset is as short as you'd expect too. There's the barest bit of take up, the pull, super clean break. So form, when you get this trigger out of the box, it does look very impressive, very good fit and finish. Of course, you won't really see anything other than the bow once this trigger's installed, so it is what it is. Like I said, you do have your preference of curved or flat face, or stainless and black nitride for the finish, so there are some options for how this looks on your complete rifle. So function, my range time with the competitive trigger was extremely fun. The lightest I typically go with triggers is 4.5 pounds. Going down to 3 is a surprisingly big difference, especially if you're used to more mil-spec or even mil-spec enhanced triggers. But once you adjust, it's incredibly fun, and for me, was perfectly reliable. Didn't have any steel case to test it with, but given the drought of crappy import ammo going on now, probably not going to be a factor for you. So features. I've worked with a lot of products over the years, and a huge segment of themselves market them as competition ready or something similar. And it's not always the case, as in something that's actually going to help you make accurate shots on target, reduce split times, and whatever other aspects of shooting you're looking to gain. A truly great trigger like this does actually give you a competitive advantage. It's not cheap, and if you're coming from mil-spec, there's a different kind of trigger discipline to master, but once you're there, yes, stamp of approval for competition. Let's move on to the butt of this rifle with the Reptilia RECC-E stock, which offers the stability of a fixed stock with adjustable length of pull. So in terms of fit, the RECC-E stock is a full replacement for the back end of your AR-15 recoil system. It's more so a direct replacement for standard carbine systems, and it includes a proprietary buffer tube. Installation is fairly straightforward. If you've assembled a complete lower before, you're not really going to have issues, but I would recommend watching Reptilia's install video because it's more like installing a fixed stock than the adjustables most people are used to. Side note, this specific version will not work on your AR-10 or SR-25 platforms. Reptilia makes a version for that, just haven't got my mitts on it quite yet. On to feel. If you're paying north of $100 for a stock, it damn well better feel good. And fortunately, the RECC-E does, for the most part. The idea here is to get a constant, consistent cheek weld no matter the length of pull. The adjustment clicks feel solid, there's no rattle, the butt pad fills your shoulder pocket pretty easily. You can also set up the QD sling swivel at the rear to be your left or right side, so it's ambi-friendly. Though in my experience, if you're maxing out length of pull, that constant cheek weld doesn't quite happen once you're squared up to shoot. Any other length seems fine though. In terms of form, Reptilia's product designers really do an excellent job with their full lineup, and the RECC-E stock is no exception. In spite of a lot of parts coming together to make this stock work, this reads as one cohesive part with clean lines that look right at home on a modern AR-15. You also get your choice of black or flat dark earth for color, daring I know, so you can get the right look on a variety of builds. By the way, the FDE is pretty much on the money for matching with Magpul, or if you've got Magpul FDE Cerakote like you see here. In terms of function, I talked a little bit about the comfort factor with this stock, and that's definitely a big selling point here. The RECC-E works just fine. Doesn't wobble, solid lockup on adjustments, and the range for your length of pull is about what you'd expect from a standard 6-position stock setup. However, if you're on the tall side, this constant cheek weld kind of runs out of real estate with the stock fully extended. I like mine one click in, so it wasn't an issue for me, but it's something to be aware of if you're a taller shooter. In terms of features, Reptilia claims that this RECC-E stock came out of a design request for a military end user, which I think makes a lot of sense. Like most adjustable AR stocks, most people will be able to fit this to their body, even if they're wearing plates or other gear. In fact, since you probably want to choke up a little tighter if you've got plates in the way, the cheek weld should work better for that application. Going prone might be a little challenging because you may run out of room to get that good cheek weld with the stock fully extended. I hope you're all enjoying these bite-sized reviews. This week was a lot of fun for obvious reasons. I like both the retro side of things as well as more modern, innovative, high-performance stuff. We'll have more on the latter next episode. And as always, if there's a product you want me to go hands-on with, drop a comment down below. I'll give you my honest take on it in a future video. Peace.